This is Evan and Tatiana. Welcome to Mind TV's Creator Series, where we help you enter into the mind of creators from all backgrounds: poetry, comedy, illustration, video, and much more. We ask the questions that provide you with insight into their creative process. Today's interview is with Toni Maggio. She's a theater graduate of the University of Toronto and was a part of the Second City Conservatory program. She's performed improv, sketch comedy, musicals, and even runs her own theater company, Third Kid Productions. On top of all of these accolades, since 2014, she's been creating online TV photo recaps for TV shows such as CW's The 100.
Hi, Toni. Welcome to our show. We're so excited to speak with you today. What was your first experience seeing a comedy performance, and how do you think that it impacted or inspired your own comedy works?
Well, when I was a kid, I was obsessed with Saturday Night Live. I would beg my parents to be able to stay up late and watch it. And that was kind of my first, oh, that looks like a lot of fun. I really want to do that kind of experience. And then just going to live theater. I'm from a really small town in Ontario, and my friends and I, once we got old enough to drive, we would go into the big city of Hamilton, Ontario, and just go to these little sketch comedy shows. And we thought those people were gods. They would be cracking jokes and doing improv. Improv blew my mind. How are these people being so funny just like that? And so we would go and we'd be like, oh, there's one of the actors, and it was such a big deal. And so that's definitely what got me thinking, how can I do that? That looks like fun.
Oh, that's so awesome. I think me and my friends, when we first got our car, went to the mall, which was just not nearly as exciting.
Look at that Bath and Body Works.
We weren't really as cool as that.
Well, and it seems too that from just that initial sort of experience and getting pulled into that, you all of a sudden then you took all that energy and all that interest, and you've created a very rich and varied experience for yourself. I mean, multiple things you've laid out for yourself here, mostly revolving around entertainment and specifically comedy. So, out of curiosity, though, what would you say came first? The passion for all the writing that you do, or the performance passion? And was it more of or was it more of a simultaneous meld?
A little bit of that, for sure. I wrote musicals, and that kind of got me on the writing train. As fun as it is being in musicals and putting on silly costumes and making people laugh, I realized as other actors were saying my words, I was like, oh, I could do this through writing as well. And I also, I'm writing books and stuff like that. And I just love the way that writing allows you to reach out to, whoever reads your words. And it's if I can make someone laugh all the way across, the internet, I guess, that's reaching more people than just making someone laugh in a 50-person theater. It was more about, how can I, if that makes sense. Sorry, I kind of lost my train of thought there.
Oh, no. So it's exactly because of technology and stuff, being able to create a blog or share out say a video or anything like that content, you can impact so many more people from further away, even, and not even just your local hometown.
Yeah, exactly. And the whole point of oh, these people are making the audience laugh, but it's my words that they're saying. It just became this love of words and manipulating language in order to bring a smile to someone's face. That experience for me was really special. Even being on stage, watching it happen, almost you take yourself out of the situation and you're watching it, and it's very surreal. Oh, these people are saying my words and other people are laughing, and that It just like filled up my heart, and I was like, how can I do this more?
So you've been in the comedy and writing space for quite some time. Do the punchlines or the plot points come easier to you now?
It depends on what I'm writing, what medium I'm working with. With the photo recaps, I have to write them so fast. So with that, I just think, what is the most absurd thing that I can say right now? And that becomes the punchline. Because I have to move on. Those take me about 7 hours to do. So wow. I can't really dwell on a joke. I just have to write it and keep going. So for that, it's all punchlines. But when I'm writing a musical or a play or even my books, that's more, down plotted out, make sure that everything is coming together. And if I happen to come up with a punchline, that's cool too. The plot comes first, and then I go in and I pepper it with jokes. So yeah, the first one, the photo recaps, jokes first. The second one, it's like, make sure that the plot makes sense so that people aren't like, why is that happening? Like, that's funny, but this doesn't make sense. So that's pretty important.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's a very different thing to be like, well, here's a bunch of funny, random kind of thoughts or points, but if there isn't any kind of through line or any kind of string that sort of connects them all, people are just going to eventually get kind of almost desensitized because now they're overthinking the jokes because they're like, well, what is the connection to anything at all? Like, why are we here listening to this and watching this?
It's
exactly.
Yeah, it's kind of like playing a game and you really like the combat, but the story doesn't make any sense. You're like, I don't know, I like to hit things. That's cool.
Yeah. And with the photo recaps, I mean, with that medium, I'm pretty lucky because the show gives me the plot. I don't have to come up with the plot. I just work off whatever they're giving me. Whereas with my own material, it's like, well, that I have to come up with the bones there.
And then make fun of it. No. Do you have any go-to methods when you need some quick inspiration if you maybe hit a creative block?
This is gonna sound very cheesy, but just breath. Just breathing and yoga and exercising and getting physical. Whenever I feel like my brain can't do anymore, I shift it to my body. I can't come up with a joke, or I'm stuck on this thing, or I don't know what to do with these characters. I'll just go for a long walk and try not to think about it and put on music. And then usually that'll just come to me. I'll just be walking and be like, oh, it'd be funny if, and then come back to it that way.
Now, is that also something that you do just to come up with the core concepts of something? Like you're going, you know what, I really want to write a musical, or I really want to write a book about X, or I want to write a book, but I don't know what it's about, right? And so what is kind of your process? Is it something similar where it's like, I just need to get out from my normal surroundings, go for a walk, and come up with something conceptually? Or where do you find the inspiration in a sense? Where does it hit you the most or tend to hit you the most?
It's kind of everything you just said. It's like this mishmash of, oh, I've thought of this line that I want to put in a book, but I don't know where to put it. Let's make a plot around that one line. And, you come up with this whole big thing around that one line that you really want to use, and then it doesn't make sense anymore, and you have to cut the line. You come up with this whole either play or scene or sketch or whatever, and it's like, well, that line doesn't work anymore, but I have all this other stuff that was inspired by that line. And then sometimes it'll be a song, and I'll be listening to a song and I'll think of a fight scene or something, because my books are actually like action adventure-y, and so I'll think of this fight scene just from this song, and I've been inspired by that, and it's like, okay, well, I guess I'll write a scene around this fight that I've come up with just from listening to, Metallica. I don't know. I don't have but like, those songs that like get you pumped up for running, and then it's like, yeah, that would be really badass. Like
And how hard is it for you to let go of some of those things where, you mentioned like, oh, I have this really good line that I want to put in there. And then at the end, you're like, well, crap, what I've developed or created, this doesn't work anymore. So how hard is it for you in that process to just cut those things out?
At this point, it's easy. When I first started, it was a struggle. I would hold on to them being like, oh, but it's so funny and maybe I could get another character to say it, and then it just didn't make sense. But I actually went through an editing process with this lady, Kimmy Beach. She's amazing. She runs an editing program, almost like a mentorship. And she sent me a picture of, have you ever seen, it's Ash with the chainsaw?
Oh, yeah.
And he was like, this is who you have to be. Like, you cut that. And it's really in service to the story. So that whole thing, kill your darlings, you have to. I have murdered so many characters just because, like, wiped them out of existence just because they don't service the story anymore. And ultimately, you are kind of a servant to this story that you're telling. So yeah, maybe this character would have been really funny, but if they don't, fit into the story the way they should, then you gots to go. I'm sorry, but your benevolent God is murdering you.
It suddenly becomes survival or survivor all of a sudden, right?
Yeah, like you have voted off the island.
That's right, yeah.
Yeah. And I think that's something that a lot of new writers struggle with, because you're proud, right? You're proud of this thing you've created, and then when you have to cut it, it's like slicing off an arm. Like, but I spent so long. But I mean, then books end up being 700 pages, and nobody wants to read it, and you kind of have to decide what's best for the story. And even though it breaks your little heart.
So now you started your own theater company called Third Kid Productions.
Mm-hmm.
What's the inspiration behind that name?
The name?
Yeah.
It's wholly narcissistic. I am the third kid in my family. I'm the youngest of three. And my baseball number, we have a family baseball team, which sounds cornier than it is. But my number on that team is 3. And that's really all it is. Third kid. I'm the third kid.
Nice.
Yeah. And actually my brother-in-law designed the logo for that. And there's a moving one where it's like the first kid standing there, second one kind of a stick figure, and then me walking up being like, ah!
Oh, that's awesome.
I'm kind of the wacky one in the family, and that's where that name came from.
That's awesome. Well, so much is, I think as a creator too, whether it's coming up with a name for a production company or writing a book, it's got to start with you. You are the core, the foundation. As you say, you're the benevolent God, right? So you've got to create things and then kill them off as they go, but they start from what you know, which I think is so cool, but also very interesting when you're looking at it from like an outside perspective, when you're not the creator, going, I wonder where this came from. Oh, yeah. And it all comes together. It's really neat.
Like, that happened to me last week.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually had an English teacher where I just remember one time she was telling us to, just write something, anything that comes to my mind, to our minds. And I was looking at her, I'm like, well, I don't know. Like, I mean, I'm not sure what to write. She's like, well, write from your life. And I said, yeah, but my life is boring. She goes, it's not. She's like, it's not boring to other people. You've lived it. Sure, you know about it. But to, the person sitting next to you, they've had a completely different life. And that changed my whole perspective on stories in general, because I was like, that's so true. Like, to me, it's sort of like, yeah, that's what I had for breakfast yesterday. But for somebody else, it's like, wow, I've never been there. I've never eaten that. What? Tell me what that's about.
Yeah. Chia seeds? Tell me more.
What is this yoga you speak of?
Yeah. You never know what is going to be interesting to someone, and also what's going to inspire someone or touch someone or make someone say, hey, I experienced that too. And looking at it in that perspective, kind of helps me deal with it. And that's what I think is so beautiful about writing in general. Like, you can inspire someone to, find their own creative voice. I know that, I've been inspired by so many people who just like reached out through books and like grabbed onto my heart and was like, beat faster. I think that's so amazing. It's almost like a type of magic.
Yeah, that just sort of emotional invocation that can be done. And again, to the writer, to the creator, it never comes off like that. They're hoping for that, like, hey, hopefully there's some sort of response. And I think especially with the internet now, with so many people creating content online, that's all so many people are looking for, is just like any response. I don't care, you can hate it, just I need something to know that you've seen it, right?
Yeah.
But to understand that power, even with live performance too. I mean, with your background in theater and improv, you definitely know this, where it's like you do something live and it just clicks with someone and you get that instant reaction from them. And there's nothing quite like it. It's so hard to really describe unless you're actually there and experiencing it.
Yeah. Especially when the lights are on you, you can't see the audience. So the only way you know if they're reacting to someone are the noises they make. Mm-hmm. And then you laugh, or that like deep belly laugh. There's nothing more satisfying than hearing someone belly laugh because of something you did.
Agreed.
And you have this theater and improv experience, and you mentioned like when it goes well and what you feel from that, right? Like that belly laugh or that snort or guffaw or whatever, or even if it's people after the performance talking about it and going, oh, did you hear this part? Did you see this bit and everything? Yeah. There is a pure exhilaration about it. But, with live performance too, even with improv, especially, you can have the good, but you can also have the not so good, right? Now, is there a time that stands out to you, not to open up any wounds or anything, but is there a time where you had to quickly kind of save the day? Like, what was that process like? And what was that experience?
Good question. I mean, with improv, you're constantly saving the day for each other. You definitely have to trust whoever you're on stage with to save the day. Because you never know when you're going to tell a joke and it's just going to fall so flat and you've lost the audience, and then someone steps in and saves it and picks it back up. It's all about energy, and if that energy drops, you're done. You might as well just call it. And so it's all about just like, it's almost like throwing a ball back and forth, and you have to be able to step in and push the ball up. And that's what I think is like creates those relationships that you see. I think that's why I love blooper reels so much, because you see them riffing off each other and throwing that ball back and forth and creating that energy and making sure that it stays up. That's definitely the relationship part about being in comedy.
It's very much a give and take, and it's funny though, because the audience, of course, never realizes that they're also giving, because you feed the actor, and if it's completely dead or completely quiet, actor doesn't know what to do. They're like, well, I don't know, is stuff hitting or not? I have no idea, and it's really tough to maintain that level of energy you need.
Mm-hmm. It's almost demoralizing when you give a joke that you're really proud of in improv or in scripted comedy, and there's just nothing, and you're just like, oh, it's almost like someone just punched you in the chest. But then on the flip side, you get that laugh and you're just like, ah!
Angels come down.
Yeah. Balloons fall from the sky.
Yeah, it's always interesting too, because I feel like there are times where you can have a dead audience, right? And then someone comes up to you at the end and goes, "You were so hilarious." And,
and you're like, really?
Yeah.
Yeah. Although it's amazing how much that can, like, it doesn't matter how down you were. As soon as someone says, like, oh, I really enjoyed your performance, or your performance really touched me in this way, you're just like, well, there we go. That's all I needed. It's like, a fairy with clapping. Like, oh, I existed. Okay, great.
Yeah, and I think it works. It works the same way too. If what you're doing on stage or in your content is meant to elicit a less positive response, right? In terms of people aren't laughing or guffawing, but they're crying instead, or they're shocked or surprised, right? Like that's the same.
Yeah.
It's the exact same thing too, as well.
Absolutely. As long as people are having that reaction or it's touching them in some way. I actually, I wrote a musical comedy just about the housing crisis here in Toronto. I'm not sure if you heard about that. Anyway, basically they wanted to privatize public housing, and it was the worst. And so I wrote a musical about it, and it was funny. Like, it was a musical comedy, and we raised money for the public housing here in Hamilton and Toronto. And people came up to me afterward and was like, I needed this laugh about this issue. And that to me was more satisfying than hearing the laugh on stage. Just having these people who are going through this kind of rough time in their life, just saying, this has helped me, and it brought out the issue so that now people are talking about it and maybe something will get done. That to me is what art is. You know, reaching out to people, making them feel better, or, you know, something about something that's going on in their lives. That to me was so beautiful. And I was so grateful for those people to come up, because a lot of audience members don't realize how much that means to creators, to hear that we have touched someone. So I think a lot of audience members, even if they are touched, they don't bother telling the creator. So I always appreciate it when someone, even with my recaps, when someone tweets at me saying, you know, oh, I really enjoyed this. I'm like, thank you. Oh, I needed that. You know?
Well, that's because that's the ideal goal too, is that you want to make sure you are entertaining people. In the end, that is always the goal. And if you get no feedback from, you know, those people you're trying to entertain, it can be very difficult to know, like, am I doing my job correctly? You know, should I change something up? Can I, you know, do something a little bit different that's still me, but still impacts who I'm trying to entertain in the first place? Absolutely.
Or even to a dramatic degree, should I even still be doing this? Like, do people care? Do people want this? Because when you're working so hard on something and it doesn't get a response, you're just like, well, should I be wasting my time on this? But then when you get that response back, you're like, oh, that's worth it. Those 7 hours I just spent crunched over a computer, that's worth it. When people tell me that they're enjoying it, that's really all I want to know is, oh, did I make you laugh today? Perfect. Then I'll keep going.
Well, I will tell you, your recaps are legit the highlight of my week. Like, no joke. Like, I wait until, like, the episode is out, and then I'm, like, on TonyWatches.com. Like, refresh, refresh, refresh. I'm like, all right, I'll check back in an hour. Refresh.
Thank you. Sure. Thank you. I love hearing.
Speaking of which, you know, keeping up with, you know, being creative is sometimes can feel very spontaneous, but then when you try to put that creativity into something that's got deadlines, you know, and you have to build a structure around that creativity. How do you maintain that discipline and organization? You know, what tools, if any, have you found that are helpful with that, especially, for example, when you have to make a blog or have to put out a photo recap or write a book?
I find that, first of all, getting my thoughts down instantly is the key. Because if I watch the episode, I'm like, well, I'll start after I do this thing. No, I need my thoughts down automatically. Like, as soon as the episode's done, write down what I think. Otherwise, I mean, this thing doesn't really work as much as it should, and I'll lose it. If I think of a joke, I have to get it down right away. As for getting it out on time, it's definitely about having the bones out first. Like I said before, I write my jokes and then I just have to move on. But if I can write down the outline, like, oh, then this happened, then this happened, then this happened, then I can go back and be like, okay, and then this joke, and just go down. And then the third most important thing when trying to get it out fast is giving myself permission to take a break. Because I find that pressure of like, I have to get it out by the next day, by the afternoon, makes me work like constantly. But that's not good for creativity, because, you know, if I can't think of a joke, then I'll start to stress out and be like, well, then this part doesn't get a joke. But then I'll eat lunch, I'll forget about it, I'll go for a walk, and then I'll come back and be like, actually, this part gets a joke, just because my brain had a rest. And I think that is the most important thing for me to get it out on time, is to give myself that permission. Yes, Toni, you can have a granola bar, relax.
You were talking about like the creative process and trying to maintain deadlines, especially for yourself, which is incredibly hard, honestly. Sometimes I feel like it's even a little bit easier to have someone give that to you and be like, hey, so you have tomorrow at this time, right? Or, you know, but you're giving a lot of the structure onto yourself too, because you're releasing it on your website. But also you've worked with the TV.com online platform. What was your experience like with TV.com?
I posted in the community for TV.com. So I was never an employee of that website. It was more just a platform, which was really great. Like when TV.com was in their heyday, there were so many people in that community giving feedback and writing their own, and you could kind of read other fans' opinions about shows. I really loved it, and I wanted to work for TV.com. That's actually why I started photo recapping the 100. It was almost like an audition for them, because they had said, start posting in our community and we'll see what you can do. And then unfortunately that site kind of was bought by someone else, and it's not really maintained as much as it used to be. And that's why I went on to my own site. But I had a really positive experience with them. I would suggest it for anyone who's just starting out. I frequently get messages being like, oh, how did you do this? Because I want to, you know, I'm thinking about doing articles. How can I get started? And I'm like, post in community posts, because the people there are generally supportive, because they are also fans. They know what it's like. And you'll get the feedback that you need in order to keep improving.
What actually inspired you to use the format of photo recaps as a medium?
My favorite type of comedy is the stuff that comes out of left field. The stuff that's so absurd that no one would have thought of until you read it. And photo recaps definitely have that aspect to it, that visual aspect. Because with just writing, you can be funny as a writer, but to have that visual on there is so absurd, to have those, you know, silly captions. And I think that definitely, Price Peterson, I'm so sorry, Price Peterson. I feel terrible now. He was like my inspiration, and I don't remember his name. But he wrote on TV.com, he did photo recaps. And I was just like, yes, this is amazing. This is the kind of absurd comedy that is like my bread and butter. I love it. And so that's definitely what inspired me to go that route.
So musical comedy, as far as I'm concerned, is a level 2 difficulty, right? Because you got to be good at singing or songwriting, but also humor. What are 3 pieces of advice that you would give to someone who is interested in actually writing their own musical comedy?
My first bit of advice would be to get a musical director. Even if you play a million instruments and you can compose your own music, it's too much. A good musical director and having a good relationship with a musical director is make or break for a musical. I am not good at instruments. Like, I can plunk out things, but as far as actually composing music, that was all them. Jane Milliken was my musical director for G. Willikers Space, and all I did was I wrote the vocal line, And then I sent it to her, and she came up with the whole accompaniment, and it was gorgeous. When she sent it back, I was just like, I didn't know my song could sound like this. This is amazing. And we kind of had a really good comedic relationship too. I'd be like, oh, can we kind of pump up this part because this is the punchline? And she'd be like, oh, what if we did this? Ba-da-ba-ba-da-ba. And I'm like, yes! So there's definitely that collaborative, on this vein. My second part of my advice would be, don't try to do everything yourself. As much as you think that this is your baby, it is a collaborative effort. Musicals are huge. Even if it's just a 2-man musical, there's so much to do that don't try to take it on yourself, because you will go bonkers. Which is a lesson I learned in my first one. I was like in it, and I produced it, and I tried to write the music, and then I was like, I can't do that. It's like too much. And then my third piece of advice would be to make yourself laugh. Don't try to write jokes for the audience, because that never works. Don't try to please other people. If you can make yourself laugh, then it's funny. That's all I got.
Some solid pieces there. I like it.
All off the cuff. Here we go.
What about advice for anybody starting their own theater company?
Good luck. It is hard. And mine wasn't, like, when you think of theater company, you think of things like Soul Pepper or Mervish or like Broadway. But mine was this little like 3-man operation. I wrote it. I would find directors. I would produce it myself. We were so tiny, and we did mostly festivals, and then we put on our own full length in Vancouver. And I guess, again, my advice would be the same. Don't try to do it all yourself, and have fun. And the instant you're not having fun anymore, then you're done. Like, it's a lot of work. So not every part of producing a musical is going to be super fun, but it should feel like, oh, this is worth it. This hard work that I'm putting in, it's worth it for those laughs I'm going to get. Or for that, energy from the audience saying, yes, this is what I want. But the instant that you think, oh, this is too much work, then I'm not saying give up on your dreams, but if you don't feel like it's worth it, then it's not worth it, because it's a lot of work.
So what you're saying is that the benevolent God has to come down and then smite the little theater house, and then you can rebuild another one if you wanted to. Yeah,
exactly. Take a step back. Like, as soon as you feel like you're on the, verge of a nervous breakdown because it's so much work, take a step back, go do another project, see, what else is out there, and then come back to it and see if you can start again. Because you will learn a lot as you go, and that knowledge will help you come back to start again.
Yeah, it's such a great idea to take that step back, because I feel like there are so many people that are creators, or you could be a small business owner, or whatever kind of title you want to take on. But anytime you're trying to create something and there is a certain kind of output that comes out from that work, ideally, it always gets negatively impacted if you are in a very negative mindset and you're just stressed out and you're not sure, is this going to work or not? And there's all these concerns and queries that keep running through your head of like, should I be doing this? Is this right for me? That really does impact all the work that you're currently doing. You're really self-sabotaging at that point.
Yeah. And everyone is going to have doubts. I mean, every artist that ever existed has thought, should I be doing this? Is this, am I good enough? And so what I was saying certainly isn't, if you doubt yourself, take a step back, because everyone does.
Oh, yeah.
What I'm saying is, if you no longer are getting joy from what you are doing, then take a step back and kind of reevaluate. But if you are working your butt off and it's so stressful every day, but you are still getting joy from that, have at it. That's great. That's half the battle right there.
you've been giving a lot of great tips and insights. And I'm curious, though, so you went to training with the Second City Conservatory program in Toronto. I'm really curious, was there any specific instructor that really stood out to you and really hit you with something, some kind of tip or trick or anything that you'd be willing to share with our audience that really impacted you as a creator?
Absolutely. When I was in the Second City Conservatory program, I had an instructor, Naomi Sneakus. She runs the firecracker department now. You can look her up on Twitter. She's one of the most inspiring women I've ever met. And her big phrase, when something wasn't working, we would be doing a scene and maybe it wasn't landing, she would be like, let's noodle on that and then we'll come back. And it's my favorite. I still use it to this day because it is almost like a mindset. Like, this isn't working, but we don't have to scrap it. We don't have to keep working on it until it does work. We can take a step back. We can noodle on it and then come back and rework it and come at it with fresh eyes. And I still, to this day, I will be working on something. I'll be like, I'll noodle on it and then come back to it. And she's also very positive, and she has this energy that just makes you keep going no matter what. I never felt like, I have to impress Naomi so that my scene will get in the show. It was always just like, let's have fun and let's work with this and let's noodle on it and see if it works. That doesn't mean that every sketch made it into the show, but it just meant that every sketch got a chance. If it didn't work right away, maybe it'll work later after we've noodled on it. And I really appreciated that at the time and even still today.
That is a great phrase because
everyone should use it.
Let's noodle on it.
Yeah, let's noodle on it.
So tell us a little bit about your future goals and projects. We hear you're doing a little bit more writing.
Always writing. Actually, I'm teaching right now in South Korea, and every day I wake up early so that I can go to school about an hour and a half to 2 hours early, just so I can write before the kids suck up all of my energy. In a good way. They're very cute. But yeah, I'm working on a trilogy right now of kind of action adventure-y novels. There are a few more musicals in the gun ready to come out, and just the website.
How much of your experience actually with you being in South Korea right now, how much has that impacted your creativity, what you're kind of putting out there? Has certain elements, whether of culture or language or anything, inspired you and made you go, I think I can use this for something? I think there's something here.
Not necessarily with specific things that I'll put into my work, but definitely just being in totally new environment, I think sparks creativity because you have to adapt to these new things. And it's almost like an improv scene. You don't know what's coming at you and you have to figure it out really fast. And I think that kind of gets the juices flowing and the brain working in a different way. I would encourage any creative type to just switch up their surroundings every once in a while, even if it's just a vacation or a trip somewhere, just to make your brain think in a different way, because then different things are going to come out and you'll get kind of riled up in a good creative way. South Korea has definitely riled me up. It's bonkers, like it's nuts, in an amazing way. And the people are really friendly and they really get me they give me that energy that I can feed off of and keep going with that.
It's similar to when, if you hit a creative block, right? It's like getting out of your mind and getting back into your body and doing something else. Changing up your surroundings can really have a great impact.
Yeah, it's that same sort of principle. Like, oh, let's see how you react to this situation. And yeah, maybe that'll make it back into your work. I know that because I'm also writing a different blog about my experiences in Korea. It's called Letters from Auntie. And the story, like, these kids that I teach just give me endless material. I'm actually teaching them about sarcasm. They're 6 years old. I'm really hoping that they're going to take that skill back home to their parents.
Where did you learn to be so sassy? Well, we have this Canadian teacher.
Yeah. It was basically, I have one student who's obsessed with dragons. Every day he's asking for dragon videos. He's drawing dragons. All of his stories about dragons. And so I was teaching letter blends, and I'm like, what is a word that has a letter blend? You know, like dragon. And he looked at me and he was like, teacher, I love dragons. And I was like, what? Well, I didn't know that. And he looked me dead in the eyes, really serious, and was like, teacher, I think you did know that. Teacher is telling false? I was like, let's learn about sarcasm, kids. It was awesome. It was a great moment.
I love that. Teacher is speaking false.
Well, I think especially for a creative, especially when you're a performer, that's actually so important, is to understand the culture and understand the culture and to understand that sometimes what you think is funny or a point that you think is going to be taken seriously might not actually in another culture. Like, I remember when I went to Cairo and I actually watched one of the Marvel films or whatever at the time. And there was a scene that to us, the Americans in this group in the back of the theater, were just like laughing at. And everyone turned around and looked at us like, what is wrong with you?
Yeah.
It's like certain things just don't hit based on that cultural basis too.
There's a lot of, anytime I go to the movies in Korea, there's a lot of times when I'm the only one laughing in the theater. And everyone else is just like, I don't get it. And maybe it's a language thing because they're seeing the subtitles. Maybe it's a cultural thing. Or maybe it's a timing thing, you know, like they read the subtitles and then the joke has already passed. But yeah, there's a lot of times. And I have a loud, obnoxious laugh. And so in the theater, I'm just like, oh, I'm so sorry.
Toni, it has been awesome speaking with you. Can you please tell our audience where to find you online? And we'll have all of the links in the description for those of you listening or watching.
Yeah, Twitter is my main deal. You can find me at Toni Maggio. I also have a blog, ToniWatches.com. And then Instagram is sweet_tones. I don't use it as much as I should, but when I do, it is quirky.
For those of you watching on YouTube, Twitch, or listening in on iTunes or Podbean, thank you for tuning in for another episode of My Mind TV's Creator Series. Our comments are open for further discussion, so feel free to dig in and ask any questions you may still have for Toni, because she will get back to you with an awesome, fun response. And don't forget to follow, share, subscribe, and that way you'll get notified when more episodes go live. And for more information on the Creator Series and our channel, come on over to mindminepod.com.
Thank you very much for joining us. Have a great one.